who we are about to introduce who do exactly that. They go out there and they just reach for the top. They go out there and do a little bit more and a little bit more, and that's why they have actually experienced the success that they've actually experienced. The next gentleman that I get to bring up here to the stage is a gentleman who's no stranger to success with LegalShield. He and his wife have been with LegalShield now for 13 plus years. They were gold executive directors, and recently, how many of you were at the Las Vegas convention just recently in the past few months? Good stuff, right? How many of you heard that there was the Rise to the Ring, event that's going on? You guys see that, right? Last month, we actually recognized a person here locally in Southern California, Mr. Mark Jones from San Diego, who was actually qualified for the Rise to the Ring Challenge. And guess what? This gentleman and his wife have actually qualified for the Rise to the Ring Challenge. Will soon be the newest six-figure income earners with LegalShield. Please help me welcome to the stage, Mr. Mark Bell.
Among so many friends and familiar faces, there have been so many people that have been an inspiration, not only to myself, but to our entire organization over the years, that come right out of this Southern California marketplace. So I think that deserves a round of applause. How many of y'all have heard me train before? Or never heard me train before? I keep thinking I'm more famous than that. So, really quickly, I'm going to share my quick story with you all. And the topic that I have this evening is going to kind of weave right into my story. Because I think that a lot of people in the room today are in the place that I was just a few years ago. How many people are clear on what 2014 is about for you already? Right? I want you to think about that, and I'm going to go right into some things. But for those that don't know our story, my beautiful wife right here, stand up, Hannah Renee Bell. Give her a I just want to marry her all over again. But that's not my topic this evening. We're originally from the East Coast. I'm from the Washington, D.C. area. All right, East Coast, all two of us. A few years back, we currently reside in Dublin, California, about 40 miles outside of the San Francisco Bay Area. And just to give you a little background, quick Dun & Bradstreet. When I was 14 years old, I came home and my dad was listening to an audio program that inspired me. It was by the author of Think and Grow Rich. How many people familiar with Dr. Napoleon Hill and some of his work? And I got so inspired at 14 years old that I decided that I was going to start pursuing my dream, which was to become financially independent by 25 years old and then pursue my dream full-time instead of pursuing a paycheck. How many of that sounds kind of good, right? Right? And so the only problem was I didn't have a vehicle. How many people know that's quite important? Right? And so fast forward, I became that kid in high school that had 5 lockers with snacks and candy for sale. Anybody remember that kid in your school? That was me. I sold pizza by the slice. I did all kinds of things, right? When I went to college, I turned my dorm room into a convenience store. I sold M&Ms. If you need any M&Ms, I still have. I'm sorry. But that entire process, I was saving up my money and I was going to seminars to learn from multimillionaires. I was looking into real estate investing. I was looking into all sorts of things. How many people ever looked at your circumstances and looked at your family and you wanted freedom so bad, you were willing to pay whatever price you had to pay for your freedom? How many people feel like that? Not now, but right now. Mm-hmm. By the way, I'm going to say that a few times. Not now, but
right now.
Okay. And so that was me. I was so hungry. And I'll never forget, I got a phone call from a good friend of mine. I was 19 years old. Where's Brian? Amazing story. I don't know where he is. Give it up for the 19-year-olds in the room.
Yeah.
I was 19 years old, about to turn 20, and a good friend of mine called me up, and she said, Fard, I've got something I want you to take a look at for me and give me your feedback. She said, you're on my top 10 list of business-minded people. Now, I don't know if that was true or not, but it worked. And he dropped me off a video about this amazing opportunity and service. And that was my introduction to the mission that Mr. Rick Mason just shared with us. And when I saw the opportunity, and I saw the service that we offer, and most importantly, I saw the crusade that we're a part of, I got excited about it. She put me on a three-way call with someone, invited me out to a business briefing about this size. Yeah, let me say that one more time. There were somewhere between 800 and 1,000 people in the room on a Tuesday night in Money-Making Maryland is what they called it at the time.
Right on.
And I walked in and went, what in the world are all these excited people doing in one place like this? I mean, can you imagine your business, all of our business briefings being bigger than this?
Yes.
I think that's coming soon. How about you?
Yeah.
And so I walked in there and I saw the vision of this great movement that we're a part of. I saw more than just a business opportunity. I saw something that was bigger than what I thought it was when I received that first phone call. How about everybody in the room? And so when they put up a slide, we don't have that slide today, but it said from USA Today, it said, to us this sounds like healthcare coverage before it became a $1 trillion industry. How many remember that slide? And I lost it. Before I left the briefing as a guest, I had my list of close to 100 names written down as a guest sitting in the presentation. Can you imagine? Wow. I saw the big picture here. And so I got excited. Somebody say excited.
Excited.
So here's what happened. I was what you call ignorance on fire. Anybody brand new in the business? You just got started the last 30 days? Right? Anybody decided to be brand new all over again after today? Right? So I was what you call ignorance on fire. All I knew was that I had to call everybody I knew before it was too late. And y'all are laughing, you don't understand. I made that list. I was so nervous, I was so bad at the phone calls, but it didn't matter. I was on fire, didn't know a thing. But here's what happened. In my first week, I made an extra $500. In my first 2 weeks, I showed up at a Super Saturday like this with 4 carloads of guests. I did not have a car. That's a whole nother training. And I was trying to get 10 carloads of people to that first event. But how many people understand that when you see a vision and it captures you, you respond accordingly? Right? And I believe we were given a vision today that will allow us to not only just start the new year right in 2014, but launch into 2014. How many people ready to launch? Called urgency. Everybody say urgency.
Urgency.
And I didn't learn it right away, but I learned it in hindsight because what happened is I took advantage of some of the promotions that were in place, the tools that were in place, the events that were in place, and within my first 30 days, I went to the director position. I was so excited about that I turned to my best friend, who was my roommate at the time, and I said, I'm going to get him to director too if it kills me. I almost died. As Jim Rohn would say, right? He went director as well, but all of a sudden, he wasn't doing anything. Right? I took him director. You know, I have, anybody recognize that sometimes our gifts are right next to our greatest challenges as well? Yes. So I have a big heart. That's one of my greatest gifts. I got a huge heart for people, but it was also one of my greatest challenges because I was doing things for people. And so I slowed down and started analyzing, trying to figure out why everybody wasn't in momentum. Anybody, you know anybody who's ever done that before? Got stuck in analysis by paralysis? So with all that momentum and a great start, it was another 35 months before I went from director to executive director. Have you ever felt stuck before? Have you ever felt stuck and you wanted to get out so bad that you just be willing to do whatever? Just tell me what to do, I'll get out of there. And so is it okay if I spend the next couple minutes speaking to our future executive directors in this room? How many future executive directors do we have in this room? Beyond a shadow shadow of a doubt that every single person in this room has what it takes to become an executive director in 2014. In 2014. But how many know it's not going to happen just by getting excited? That's a part of it, but it's not the whole picture, right? And so here's my challenge to everybody. And I'm going to challenge you again in a few minutes before I get off of the stage. My challenge is for you to pick your quarter. There's the first quarter, that's right now, January, February, March. There's the second quarter, April, May, and June. Third quarter, July, August, September. And then there's fourth quarter, October, November, and December. It's no longer a question leaving here if those of you who stood up will be an executive director. It's when you decide to pay the price. And what I've seen over and over and over and over again is that it does not take 3 years to become an executive director like I thought. And if you look at all the executives, they're nodding their heads right now. It doesn't take 2 years. It doesn't take a year. Executive director is not a matter of time at all. It's a decision followed by the work ethic. And I've seen person after person in 3 months, in 6 months, qualify executive director from the time that they were ready. So I want to spend a few minutes and share with you all about the principle of urgency. Is that okay? Yeah. There's something to be said about a sense of urgency in this type of business that we're in. I've found that when we move with a sense of urgency, things happen in our business that would never happen if we did the exact same thing over a longer period of time. I'm talking about success compression. Everybody ever heard that term before? Now, here's my little analogy. My wife and I, we don't drink, but occasionally we have a ginger ale on the rocks. Have you ever shaken up a bottle of ginger ale? It's different from just pouring it, right? Same glass, same amount of liquid, but totally different effect. Would you agree? And so if you just kind of slowly pour ginger ale into a container, into a glass, there'll be some sizzle, but no overflow. There'll be some sizzle, but no overflow. But how many people know you can take that same bottle of ginger ale, shake it up real good, pop the cap off of it, and you don't even have to pour. The overflow is coming. Would you agree? How are you ready for some overflow in your business? People, so I'm going to be very careful and let you know that however you decide to shake up your bottle and shake up your business is completely up to you. When you decide to turn it on, it's completely up to you. But I have something in my spirit that tells me in 2014, we're going to see an outbreak of more leaders than we've ever seen in any period of time in LegalShield's history. Of those newest executive directors and above that will take advantage of that. Anybody feel the same way? And something tells me that there's some people in here that maybe there's been a few fears that might have held you back until today. Yeah. How about that? Yeah. Maybe there's been some hesitation. Maybe there's been some over-analysis. Maybe that's gone with 2013. How about that? How many people let whatever was holding you back go in 2013? 2013 ended last year. Yesterday ended last night. If you're taking notes, write on your paper from this day forward, ... And I want to speak with the people who are ready to turn it on and turn it up a notch. Is that anybody in the room? Yeah. This is for you. Okay. So I'm going to give you a couple of stories. So, which one do I pick? It's been so many different times. My wife posted a YouTube video called Right Now. And it's Fargo Right Now. And I tell the story, I don't think I have time to get into the whole thing. But I discovered the power of success compression. And the question was asked, when's the last time you gave 100% at anything? Think about that for a moment. When's the last time you really gave 100%? you gave 100% in your LegalShield business? Can anybody think of the last time you truly gave 100%? Anybody feel like you never fully gave 100% yet? Key word. What would happen if we just did that for the next 30 days?
100%.
What would happen if we did that the first 30 days of 2014? What would happen if we did that the first 90 days? Nobody can decide for you what you do and when you do it, but I want to plant a seed tonight for those that are ready to turn it on. And so there's been a few moments in my career when I got disgusted. Anybody ever been disgusted before?
Yeah.
That day of disgust when you decide, okay, it ends right now.
Yeah.
And so I want to encourage everybody to leave here today and know when it's time to walk versus when it's time to run. I know sometimes it might feel like we've been crawling in the business. You've ever felt like that before? I can tell you some stories, right? Sometimes we're walking, we're pacing ourselves. But how many people know sometimes there's a window of opportunity to make some things happen? And if we take those opportunities, we can create in a matter of 30 to 90 days what may have taken us 9 to 12 months to do. And so I flew out to Washington, D.C. one time, and I love recruiting, by the way. And the thing I love about recruiting is that no matter what business looks like, if you continue to recruit, somebody eventually pops up who's just ready to go. And so a gentleman popped up who was ready to go. And I'll never forget, he was at the manager position. There were 8 days left in the month. And he was ready to qualify. He had set out to qualify executive director in the beginning of the month. Now, did y'all catch that? Manager, 10 memberships on the books. How many days left?
8.
8 days left in the month. I flew into town and said, "You ready to go?" He's in Washington, D.C. He said, "Yes." I said, "All right. First thing I need you to do is make a big list of contacts. Make a huge list. For those of you who are ready to turn it on, how many of you all have made your real list of contacts? How many feel like there's a whole lot of people you haven't really added to your list yet? A whole lot of people you really haven't reached out to yet? Come on, let's be honest. Right? I made a fresh list the other day. I decided to become brand new January 1st, all over again. Watch what happens over the next 90 days. You will be looking at the next platinum executive directors in LegalShield. Here's what happened. We have what's called a blitz. Anybody had a blitz before? There's all sorts of blitzes. There's private business reception blitzes. That means instead of doing 1 or 2 or 3 here and there, you do a whole lot in a short period of time. It's the funnest thing you ever do. Anybody ever heard of a private conference call blitz? That's when you do a whole lot of private conference calls in a short period of time. One of the most fun things you'll ever do in your career. Slow is boring. Fast is fun. Well, we decided to have a private business reception blitz. We said Saturday morning we're going to have a private business reception. I think it was 10 o'clock in the morning. There were about 5 people at that private business reception. How many people know when you make a decision, you just turn it on and make it happen? So we turned it on and we made it happen. There were 5 new guests in the room. At the end of the presentation, we did all the regular things, the closing, but there was a higher level of intensity. And we decided this has to happen now. We've got a short period of time to make a miracle. How many would say manager 10 to executive in 8 days is kind of a miracle? Right? Well, you're looking at a whole bunch of miracle workers sitting right here in the front row. They've done it, been there, done that, and when we're ready, the student is ready, the teacher surely appeared. Well, here's what happened. We took those 5 guests and said, how many of you all are ready to get paid today? Like, not now, but
Right now.
Not now, but
Right now.
They said, we are. We said, okay, turn over your application, jot down 10 people that you can put us on the phone with right now that could probably appreciate a few hundred to a few thousand a week part-time. They made the list. We kept going. We said in 30 minutes we're having another private business reception just like this. Let's get them on the phone. They said, well, what do we say? We gave them a few words. That's not important. You got words. Your leaders teach you words. But they basically said something like, hey, do you have a couple minutes? Great. Could you use a few hundred to a few thousand a week part-time? And no matter what they said, okay, I'm working with somebody who's looking for good people right now. Hold on. And they passed the phone. We did three-way calls with their top 10. We basically said, hey, I understand you're keeping your options open. What do you need to do? What do you have to do to clean your schedule in the next 30 minutes? Well, that next presentation, I don't remember the exact numbers, but we had more than 15 people at that presentation, including some of the people from the first one. Are y'all understanding how this is going? Yeah. We did it again. There were now 15 people in the room. We said, how many of y'all want to get paid today? Like, not now, but
Right now.
They all raised their hands. We said, turn over your application, jot down the top 10 people. This kept going. We ended up doing a presentation every hour and a half from like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Wow.
We went for 8 days. He went from 10 memberships in 8 days to 90 memberships that processed and recruits before that processed out of the 100+ memberships and associate agreements that were sent in. The next, he qualified executive director, by the way. The next day, about 30 or 40 more memberships processed that didn't count the previous month. Are you all understanding what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
We think that sometimes a position or promotion is about a matter of time, but it has nothing to do with time, it has to do with activity. And urgent activity can cause things to take place that never happen when we move slow. So I just want to leave you with the thought, who's ready to just do something crazy? Like, how many people feel like you've been playing around too long and you're ready to turn it on? How many have some reasons to turn it on? Some reasons to go to the next level, not now, but right now. And so, how do you know when it's a good time to start running? Maybe it's your first 30 days in the business. Would you agree that's a good time to start running? Anybody in your first 30 days? You want to create the best story you possibly can create. How many people have a bad first 30-day story? That's a good time to start running too. Create a brand new first 30-day story. Hey, I got started, I was playing around, but I went to the Super Saturday, the CEO was there, I got turned on, I got fired up, and here's what happened in my first 30 days after that. How many of you are ready to create a new story for yourself? Right? Here's another good time. When you want to go to the next pin level. How many of you have a position you promised yourself? Who's on your way to the senior associate position? That's your next position. All right, who's on your way to the manager position? That's your next position. How many managers, new managers? Make some noise for me. How many new directors do we have coming out of this event? How many is your time for executive director? How many people is your time to break some executive directors? That's a good time to start running. How about you need to hit your next power level? How many ready for power 20?
Yeah.
Good time to start running. How many not feel like you're close to that next level you have? How many feel like you're nowhere near close to that next level? That's a good time to start running too. How about you have a spouse or a significant other that's unsupportive? Don't raise your hands, especially if they're here. That would be a good time to start running. How about you have an upline that you feel like isn't doing everything you like them to do? That's a good time to start running. How about somebody on your team that's not doing what they're supposed to do? Good time to start running. You can continue this list on your own. But I remember one time I got disgusted. And the team wasn't moving, or we weren't on the same accord. You know, team members get to a phase where they're in that teenage phase where they don't want to listen anymore. Yeah. And no matter what I said, you know, they just weren't listening. So I felt I had to make a demonstration. So I decided to turn it on and become brand new again. For those that are hearing me, I want you to take this away. You decide what it is for you, but for me, I decided I needed to recruit at least 10 new associates to relaunch my business. I needed to bring in, let's just call it for today's sake, the class of 2014. How many people feel like you need to bring in a new class of 2014. And so I made a big list. I pulled out the same memory jogger that's in our first step training document at LegalShield.com/start. I became a brand new associate for real. I said, hey, I'm willing to make a new commitment to the 10 core commitments. These are tips, by the way. Right, so tip number 1, write down your dream. Write down what you really want, what you're really ready to turn around in your life. And then tip number 2, rededicate yourself to the 10 core commitments. Because there's no point of creating a bunch of momentum and not having an infrastructure to hold it all together and sustain it. Tip number 3, ready? Make a fresh list of contacts. Now some people make a big list and they call that 10 people. I've challenged everybody on my team that said they want to run with me for 2014 or for January. I said, send me your dream and send me your list. Some made a list of 100. Some made a list of 300, Celeste and Tarante. And then some went even further and she sent me a list of 558 people or something like that. She said, I'm ready to run. She's our brand new director in the room this evening. All right? On the way to executive director before this month is out. Give her a round of applause. Go ahead and stand up. Executive now. So here's what I decided to do. I made a fresh list of about 600 names. Didn't have phone numbers for all of them, but I went through every memory jogger. I narrowed it down to 100 people that I could reach, and I figured if I could get the presentation in front of 60 people, then I could probably recruit, in front of 30 people, then out of those 30, I knew I could bring on 10 and go executive director from scratch. And that's exactly what happened. We went through the list, met with 30 people, recruited 11 personal recruits that month. Through those 11, 6 of them were coachable. We went private business reception after private business reception. In that 30-day period of time, we did 78 memberships together. Back then, we needed 75 memberships to go executive director. I sent a message to my own team. They started running too. I had a new team to run with. Over that next 90 days, we earned close to $25,000. Who could use an extra $25,000 over the next 90 days? There's so much more I can share, but my time is completely up. But my challenge for you all is, hey, listen, if you can run, let's run. If you can walk, hey, let's walk. If you need to crawl, let's crawl. But don't stand still, everybody. Let's take 2014 by storm, and let's show LegalShield that we are that next wave of leadership